Presently, numerous updates are emerging from the southeast. To commence, the latest high-definition satellite visuals have shown that yesterday's attack led to the critical destruction of a Russian naval vessel. Additionally, it's observable that a subsequent explosion also compromised nearby port structures, beyond affecting adjacent vessels. Navy Representative Pletenchuk from Ukraine suggests the offensive may have resulted in as many as 80 casualties among Russian forces. Contrarily, the Russian Defense Ministry acknowledges the death of one individual and injuries to 2 personnel. Subsequent information, however, indicates that at least 33 personnel remain unaccounted for, with 19 suffering injuries. There have been indications from certain reports that the warship was transporting an arsenal including thousands of artillery shells, with a minimum of 2 caliber missiles and 4 KAB-500 guided bombs on board. Russian defense experts have voiced concerns regarding the apparent compromise in security, attributing the leak concerning the military consignment to Ukrainian guerrillas, and called for increased protection at Russian supply sites. Concurrently, Ukrainian guerrillas from the Atesh group disclosed more visuals detailing the Russian military deliveries, this instance around Epitoria's shipping areas. Insurgent disclosures further revealed the dispatching of Gvozdika artillery systems by Russian forces utilizing the railway networks. Following this, the Atesh group uncovered another military train loaded with trucks and various gear passing through Dzhankoy. Hence, Russian logistical movements not only take the form of direct train routes through Crimea but also involve naval resources to convey additional equipment to Crimean maritime points, ultimately forwarding these supplies to the combat zones. However, the dissemination of this information has led to numerous process disruptions during these relocations for the Russians. Inhabitants in Armyansk and Tokmak have reported hearing a succession of blasts. Russian accounts ascribe these to Ukrainian HIMARS assaults targeting depots in Armyansk and a minimum of 3 facilities in Tokmak. Analysts from Ukraine credit these strikes to the collaborative efforts of Ukrainian guerrillas and military forces. As the East experiences the brunt of the conflict, the occurrence and severity of Ukrainian offensives in this locality have escalated. Commander Tarnovsky of the Ukrainian Tavriisk forces today commented on the ongoing paramount offensive move by Russian forces to seize Avdiivka. He mentioned the apprehension among Russian ranks about potentially having to engage in drawn-out, attritional urban combat similar to that in Bakhmut and their consequent strategies to encircle Avdiivka instead. Tarnovsky also noted the continuous redeployment of Russian troops, especially the inexpensive prisoner-recruited Storm Z units, towards Avdiivka to sustain their offensive drives, although Ukrainian forces maintain strict control over their defensive lines. Recalling earlier reports, it was mentioned that Ukrainian units in Avdiivka had recently acquired new drones. This enhancement has proven strategic, as Russian forces escalate their armored presence within their offensive resurgence. Footage from the Ukrainian Special Forces has depicted the targeting and subsequent explosive disablement of a Russian tank near Krasnohorivka. Further, a tank endeavoring to position itself offensively against Ukrainian lines was incapacitated by a drone strike, resulting in the loss of vehicle control and its descent into a trench, with a failed rescue attempt of the tank leading to another incapacitating drone strike. Visual evidence from Ukraine's 116th Brigade also exhibited their defense against the latest mechanized Russian offensive on Stepov. Russian tanks were effectively rendered inoperative by drone-deployed mines, which incapacitated the attacking forces, securing Ukrainian assurance against any future operational use of these tanks. Additional units have shared recordings of drone strikes decimating Russian armored personnel carriers, including one significant blast that eradicated the infantry attempting concealment beneath. Russian soldiers of note have articulated their grievances regarding Ukrainian aerial assaults, expressing their inability to penetrate Ukrainian defenses due to the prevalent swarms of drones, which severely deplete their assaulting contingents before reaching the front line. To further hinder Russian advancement, Ukrainian tactics now include assaults on the Russian logistical network within the region. Reports from Russia imply that Ukrainian HIMARS units have grown their operational scope, striking no fewer than 5 supply centers over the preceding week: Donetsk, Holyuka, Makiivka, Yasenuvata, and Ilovaisk. In particular, the Ukrainian campaign in Donetsk persists with targeted attacks on Russian fuel reserves, including recent strikes on the energy infrastructure in Makiivka, a neighboring city to Donetsk. An unconfirmed position in Ilovaisk was also struck, where conflagrations parallel those seen in Donetsk suggest a correlation with the Ukrainian campaign to deplete fuel resources, implicating Ilovaisk as another victim of this strategy, situated a mere 15 kilometers from Donetsk. In essence, as Russian forces endeavor to intensify their offensive along the entire line of engagement, Ukrainian forces are strategically undermining Russian supply lines. This disruption in logistics is slated to produce significant strain and resource scarcities at the front, impairing Russian offensive capabilities. Thus, Ukrainian forces are effectively targeting Russian armor on the front line while simultaneously striking at logistical hubs spanning from Crimea and Taganrog to Tokmak and Donetsk.